Hello and welcome to the United Stand. This is our Jose Mourinho press conference reaction for the Manchester United versus Spurs game. Just finished listening to Jose. Very fair to say that moody Mourinho returns. Very moody, very negative, and a shame, a real big shame from a personal point of view because, look, I can't deny the fact that we lost to Brighton last week. It was very disappointing, wasn't it? But what we had before all those games was some real positivity from Jose, and a sea of change, I suppose, even if we haven't seen it on the pitch. What we got from Mourinho today in the press conference was what we've seen from mostly of Mourinho over the last calendar year, I suppose. Very negative, very short with the press, and giving very little away. To the point, to the extreme that when he was actually asked about Spurs, he said, I've got no comment to make. We're playing Tottenham, Jose. We're playing Tottenham. Why can't you talk to us about Tottenham? Also asked about style of play. What does he want to do with the style of play at Manchester United? To which his answer was, we played well against Leicester. We played bad against Brighton. I hope to play well against Spurs. I mean, just very little. Very little. And again, how to win friends and influence people. You had a lot of friends before the Brighton game. You were speaking really positively about your players, about how confident you were, what a great week. And what a contrast a week later. One bad result, his toys are out the pram again. And I suppose for those people who were saying Jose Mourinho was faking with the positivity, this only goes to maybe prove their point that they're right. Because one bad result, which the fans, to be fair, some of you don't agree it's one bad result. You say it's a culmination of a lot of bad things, but one bad result in Mourinho's mind, and he suddenly reverts back to what he's been like before. Although he did say, "I'm not pessimistic, you are." But there was no meat on the bones. He was asked about Lindelof and Bailly, and he said, "I don't analyse my players with you," to the press. So again, I mean, all right, okay, let's be totally fair here. Jose Mourinho probably doesn't like the week that he's had in the press, but I personally felt that the week before was worse because the week before was about Pogba and Mourinho, and it was all week. This week, I don't think the press has been that bad for Mourinho this week. I think we've lost the game to Brighton. There's been a few conversations about breakdown in relationship with Woodward, etc., but it's not really been that bad. So bad that he can't, the press throw you a bone and say, what's your thoughts on Bailly and Lindelof? Have they developed how you wanted them to develop at Manchester United? Jump on that and go, look, I'm very happy with them both. Really good signings. They're going to be great players for Manchester United in the future. Why not take that opportunity? Also asked about Paul Pogba's comments after the game, where he said that the attitudes weren't right. And there was a very good question put to Mourinho along the lines of, well, is this the problem with Paul Pogba? How do you get the best out of Paul Pogba? Because he has one great game and then he has a bad game. You'll have to speak to Pogba about that. I mean, it's just petulance. Are the club going to provide Paul Pogba to answer that question? No, they're not. And you're the manager of Manchester United Football Club. When you're asked a question about one of your players, give a comment about it. You can't say speak to Paul Pogba about it because that's Paul Pogba's inaccessible to answer those questions. So I just find it, again, look, I can understand why he's a bit annoyed, but most Manchester United fans are annoyed at the moment. The last thing you want to see is your manager being annoyed and giving very little back. He's going within himself again. He's going back to what he was like after Sevilla, where he's protecting brand Mourinho, but not thinking about Manchester United, not thinking about the positive things he was doing a week ago, thinking about building some morale, building some positivity. He's gone within himself. He's sulking. We've lost to Brighton and people are picking on me. I'm not answering your questions. I'm not going to give any positivity. We play well against Spurs and we win. That's what I hope. Very telling line as well. Jose Mourinho is acting like a bitch, says Rishab. That's not the telling thing I was going to talk about. Lloris has been arrested for drunk driving, says England Fan TV. I saw that. He's got more points than Arsenal now. 60% of the time, Jose wins 1-0, says the black dude. And Lloris has been arrested. Yeah, he's been released on bail, so he will be able to play on Monday night. If he says anything about Pogba, he will go into his shell and cry it out and make his agent talk crap, says John Sherrell. Pogba is the manager, says Ashraf. Well, maybe Pogba should come out and do the press conferences then. We might get some positivity out there. What's he said? Sorry, a bit late. Have I missed much, says Callum Saunders. No, there's still a few bits to go through. What he did say is he said he was asked a question about the loss against Brighton and whether it was difficult. And he said, well, it's difficult after a win. It's difficult after a loss. It's obviously more difficult for a loss. But from a player's point of view, it's obviously very difficult, especially if you care. Which I saw as, I took that, and I'm sure many of you, if you watch that back or if you're listening to me now, he said, especially if you care. He's digging out players who don't care there. He's having a dig at players that don't care. But who are those players? We don't know, but it was clearly another little dig without naming names at the players who care after a loss. And I'm speculative here. I'm hazarding a guess, but I would imagine it's probably someone like Anthony Martial that he wants to have a go at again, because Jose is biting his lip at the moment. He's biting his lip. He clearly wants to have a dig at some players, and maybe, you know, if that... I do feel sorry for Mourinho, because I think, I'm not going to talk to you about the players anymore because I'll just get hung out to dry, or I'm not going to answer your questions anymore. Are we really getting the real Mourinho if he's not going to give what he normally gives? If he's just going to act like a petulant child and suck his thumb and not say anything? What's really, you know, it's only going one way, isn't it? It's only going one way with Jose, and that's the exit door. I saw the quote in the Daily Mail today that apparently Zinedine Zidane has told his friends that he expects to be offered the Manchester United job if Jose Mourinho gets the sack. And I think at the moment it's very much a case of when he gets the sack. He was asked about his relationship with Ed Woodward. Well, the word was sort of put into his mouth. Do you have a good relationship with Ed Woodward? Yes. No problems? No. Come on. Yeah, there's problems at Manchester United, and if there weren't problems, then I think we would see a very, very different camp approach. Not a camp approach, a very different camp Manchester United, i.e. I think we'd see a different Jose. I think we'd see a different performances on the pitch and more positivity coming out of the club. There's clearly issues at the club at the moment, and I think what the approach is from the board is to batten down the hatches and hope we can ride out this storm. I think Mourinho's approach is, as the captain of the ship, is to grab the wheel and try and fight the way through this storm. And the players are sort of like, all eyes are on them. Can they do it? Because it's performances and results on the pitch that will do it. But very, very disappointed in Jose today. I understand we've had a difficult week, but we've had a far more difficult week than he has. We are Manchester United fans, and it's been embarrassing this week. And what you expect, you know, as I said last night, there's a cycle, isn't there? There's the initial frustration, then you sort of go into sort of a, you know, bit stuck in between, and then as you approach the next game, you want to get up for it and say, come on United, let's do it, let's beat Spurs, let's get back on track. And I think a lot of United fans have got a bit of trepidation about this Spurs game, but a lot of United fans I'm talking to, and I certainly feel that way, is it's Spurs on Monday night, it's a tough game, it's at Old Trafford, let's get at them, let's go and get 3 points, come on United. And then you have your manager sat there miserable, absolutely miserable, not talking about anything. And yeah, you know, he doesn't have to answer questions, fine. You know, if you resent the press like they resent you, that's fine, that's fair enough. But it doesn't do anything for the United support to see their manager looking so bloody negative again, especially when this was something that was thrown at him last season. And little by little, it feels like every little bit of positivity that we've built up, and it was only a short window before Leicester and the Brighton game, where we were getting positive vibes, where Jose was speaking positive about players, about the feeling, about morale. And a lot of you who are against Mourinho were saying, well, look, we're still playing the same crap football. That's the most important thing. This is just an act and it'll all fall away. And lo and behold, we play Brighton, the next press conference, and Jose's back to last season again. What else did he say? He said, no problem with Woodward. You're pessimistic, I'm not. Asked a little bit about the week he's had in the press with links to Zidane and that. Don't ask me, I don't read. And he also he did mention something about players, Matic, whether he'd be back for the game against Monday. Said still got a few days until. I mean, that set the tone for the interview. Really, he was asked about Matic, which is, you know, his face should light up at that point. You know, Matic is one of his favourite players. He should be absolutely ecstatic about it. And it was like still a few days till the game. We'll see how he is on Sunday. So I'd be stunned if Matic doesn't play against Spurs. I think Pereira's days are numbered, unfortunately, at Manchester United. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Congratulations, says Martin Sheridan. I don't know what you're on about. Manchester United will park the bus, says Musin. Jose feels betrayed by some players, especially Pogba. I say if Pogba has another stinker, drop him, says Lynn Hall. I actually was a little bit disappointed. There was no question about Paul Pogba. I don't know whether that's not being allowed to ask the question or not having the balls to ask the question. But realistically, the one question that should have been asked in that press conference today was, how do you feel about Paul Pogba's agent coming out and speaking so publicly about Pogba's future? I mean, that would have been a brilliant question. We don't need to mention the Scholes thing. Mourinho could have said, and probably would have said, I don't want to answer that. But reality is, a week left of the transfer window in Spain, Paul Pogba's not leaving Manchester United. That would have been that should have been the headline from the press conference. Pogba's not leaving United. I can give you that headline. Pogba's not leaving United, but why are we not putting that out as a club? Dane Sumner says, when people turn up late, just rewind it instead of asking Mark what you have missed. Why should we have to go through it all again just because of you? Thanks for the contribution, Dane. Sure that will go down like a lead balloon. Is Herrera injured or training with the reserves? Says Farouk. Well, I'm doing the preview for the Manchester United Spurs game tomorrow morning. If people want to join me for that, it'll be about 10 o'clock UK time. But my understanding with Herrera is that he has got an injury, and so is Alexis Sanchez. I think Sanchez is going to be part of the team for the Spurs game because Mourinho will want him to play. But in relation to Herrera, he probably won't make it. The press just don't ask brilliant questions, Mark, says Billy T. I think now and again they do, but certainly not. Certainly avoid it. Hate to say it, if we don't change the style of play, we're going to lose, says Marion Francis. And would you forgive Pogba if he had an awesome game, says Mark Wilkins. I haven't given up on Paul Pogba at all. I think Paul Pogba can be a very, very good player for Manchester United. I think a lot of the way he behaves is bad about football, but he's going to stay at Manchester United. I certainly wouldn't be booing him or not wanting him to play. I just am very, very disappointed in his behaviour this week. He knows what his agent's done, and then he's 24 hours, 48 hours after that, he's promoting football boots. I mean, a lot of United fans are upset because of his agent. He says he'll always play for the fans and his teammates. Well, give us something to actually understand. Press is awful, says Ed O'Leary. Win or lose against Spurs won't make any difference, says Alexander McCormack. The football is still boring and the manager's tactics are all wrong for this club. I think you're half right there, Alexander, because I actually think that regardless of the result on Monday night, it doesn't matter. Because even if we beat them 4-0, it doesn't matter. It's one game. We've seen United play well in one game before. This needs to be... I think there's an irritation and a loss of patience amongst United fans now that, yes, go and beat Spurs, but we ain't going to jump back on your bandwagon. Go and beat Burnley and Watford away as well, because that's where we go and play negative football and get beat. So Spurs, for me, is 3 points. And anything less than that is unacceptable, because after a game against Brighton like that, if you can't respond and beat a team at Old Trafford, something is seriously wrong. So Spurs has to be a win. And then I will be happy with the win, but I ain't going to jump on any bandwagon. It'll be like, right, go and do it against Burnley now. I don't think this team or manager deserve our backing until they've gone and beaten Burnley and Watford. They messed up badly against Brighton. They made similar mistakes to last season that should have been eradicated over the summer. Effort levels should be better. Quality of football should be better. Substitutions and tactics should be better. I mean, we still went for half an hour hoofball. With Cardiff City, we're the only team that hits the long ball in the whole of the Premier League. It's not good enough. So beat Spurs and then we'll talk. I think that's my motto. Talking of which, I must just say, a little bit of a shout out. FIFA Predicts is back and it was a cracker. There's an eye in the top right hand corner, or it's the pinned comment below the video, which is on my channel. So make sure you give it a like and a subscribe. That's where FIFA Predicts lives now. And it was one of my better FIFA Predicts. I haven't played FIFA in 3 months, so it didn't start well. Let's just say I could have been 3-0 down in the first 20 minutes. But it was a good game. It was a good game. So give it a watch after here. Green and gold scarves on Monday, says Mad Marcus. I don't go for that, to be honest, if I'm honest with you. Please do drop a like on the video. We are doing reactions to Jose Mourinho's press conferences throughout the season. So if you do like these, I like doing them with you. Please do drop a like on the video. Jamie says, I'll be furious if he picks McTominay over Pereira, even if he's on the bench. Prepare to be furious. I think Pereira may not even be on the bench. What better subs would you have made? He made subs at half-time, 2 of them, says Daniel Benavides. Well, the substitutions he made at half-time I disagreed with. I would have kept Pereira on. Maybe moved Pereira into a more attacking position, but I would have kept Pereira on. I don't think he was that bad. So he took Pereira and Mata off and brought Lingard and Rashford on. I wouldn't have made those substitutions. And I wouldn't have brought Fellaini on at all. I would have waited till the last 10 minutes for that. I thought Fellaini was a waste of space. Craig McCullough Games HD. One footballer saying that if Mourinho was with another team who had a bad transfer summer like this, he would have walked. Yeah, I have read that, Craig. I've seen a few people talking about that. Look, if Jose Mourinho is going to walk. Surely I'd flip that around and say, so Jose Mourinho is saying if he was at any other club and he'd been treated like that, he would have walked. Surely, if you're at Manchester United and you've been treated like that, you walk, because it's a bigger club and it's a bigger L. So I don't think there's any truth in that. Jared Pesserman, wish we would sell Pogba. Disgrace to the club and a pathetic human to manage. He's a baby and the way he's handled the situation is embarrassing. Bench him, says Jared. Be interesting to see if he's got the captaincy on Wednesday. There are rumours about Luke Shaw being injured as well, KAC3. But no mention of any injuries from Jose. Didn't even mention the Herrera thing. Any chance he plays Pereira in a more attacking position in front of McTominay and stroke Fellaini, says Caden Woods. If McTominay or Fellaini start, I will cry. I really will. If we lose against Spurs, Mark, don't you think it's time he goes, Jose, and get Zidane in, says Farouk? There's no way they'll sack him if we lose to Spurs. To be honest with you, I think United have got to win against Spurs. But if we don't, safe money's probably on a draw. I don't think we'll lose that game. I don't think Jose Mourinho will play to lose that game. I think many people who think we're going to park the bus probably are correct. I think he'll play not to lose that game. Zidane would get respect out of this players and good performance as ex-class gamer. Any chance Brighton beat us again? Well, we're not playing them for a while, so at least we'll avoid that. And I prefer 4th and a new style of play, rejuvenating the players, to 2nd place, 20 points behind, playing negative, says Jean Carlos. Jose will never change, says Steve. I've been saying for a long time I want him gone, but I'm behind Manchester United and always will be. My gut feeling is this will be his last season with us. We can't be talking about another manager just yet, says Mark Wilkins. And yeah, I mean, I want Manchester United to win on Monday. I want Manchester United to beat Burnley. I want them to beat Watford. The more games we win, Mourinho stays. But I just can't, and I don't know what you lot think, I don't think I can want Manchester United to lose games, because whilst we're losing games, you're still falling behind people and teams I can't stand, like Liverpool. Every game we lose and they win is further away from us, and that's another day, another minute of being slagged off and slated by Liverpool fans and being laughed at. I don't want that to happen. And we've been through this cycle so many times over the last few months. I don't want it to happen. Few years, sorry. Moyes embarrassed us. Van Gaal came in, steadied the ship for a little bit, and then embarrassed us. Mourinho came in, provided some progress, and now is embarrassing us. I don't want this cycle to continue. I was speaking to somebody this morning, and I said, look, the best I think I can hope for is that Mourinho sort of flukes 4th place and gets us into the top 4 and then gets the sack. I don't think Mourinho will be sacked until Champions League is impossible. And I don't want the Champions League to ever be impossible. So, for me, yeah, that's sort of what I'm hoping for. I don't think they'll sack Mourinho. I don't think they will. Best we sack him now than later, or no Champions League football, says Mahir. Yeah, but we've seen this twice with our board. They don't sack people until it's impossible to get top 4, and I can't face that again. My gut feeling is, yeah, I've read that one. Zidane would come to Manchester United and get sacked end of the season. He's not good in an average team. Only won in Real Madrid because of Ronaldo, says Dre Gamer. Yeah, a few people have said that, but, you know, let's see what happens. Mark, do you think we will win any silverware, says Lord Fellaini? At the moment, it feels like a long way. Well, look, we're not going to win the Champions League. We're not going to win the Premier League. Mourinho goes all out for things like the Carabao Cup because he thinks it's important. So maybe we'll win that. Zidane, ever since Lukaku dropped Raiola, there's a rift between Lukaku and Pogba, says John Sherrell. I'm not aware of that. We need leadership on the pitch. No one in the team to keep the side motivated, says Rick Jones. How many years have we been saying that for? Pogba only does what he gets away with, says Samuel R. And Glazers out, says Abdullah. Big game for Manchester United on Monday. Disappointed from Jose Mourinho today. I felt his press conference was negative and boring and not what we need. To me, it just highlights that there were big problems at the club. There was no leadership from Jose. He went into his shell, the Mourinho shell, not answering questions, very moody, very negative. That's not leadership. I think if... I don't like going back to Sir Alex, but if you went back to Sir Alex Ferguson, you'd get a very, very different press conference from him today. I mean, I think even when he was angry and everything like that, he'd go on the offensive and attack and put people in their place. Why can't Jose do that? Why can't he come out and say, I think it's disgusting the way that you and your colleagues have been attacking my players and my credibility this week. We're trying to build something here. I fully back this team. And we're going to fight for each other. Why can't you come out and do that? I think sympathisers of the Pogba situation and the Jose situation. Phil Neville said it's disgusting, some of the things that have been said about Jose Mourinho this week. I don't disagree with Phil Neville on that. So why can't Jose come out and, instead of being like a little spoilt child who doesn't want to talk, come out and give something? There's a lot of people out there who want Mourinho out of the club. But I'll guarantee you, if Jose came out and showed some passion in his press conferences on the offensive, then those people who are Mourinho out might still be Mourinho out. Would say, well, at least he's showing some fight. At the moment, I think we're sleepwalking into this Spurs game. And I think we'll get a response from the players. But from what's going on around the club, we're sleepwalking into it. It's almost like they're anticipating that we're going to get beat. And that's not what should be going on at the club at all. I don't agree with that. I really don't. Nearly 2,000 people watching. Please do smash a like on the video on your way out, and also on your way out, click the eye in the top right hand corner, or click the top comment in the video description below. And if you want a bit of passion and you want a bit of oomph and you want a bit of how Manchester United should play on a Friday afternoon, get over to Manchester United versus Spurs FIFA Predicts. Watch Goldbridge in charge and see how I would get United playing. Doesn't mean we're going to win, but it is entertaining. I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and have a good... It's a bank holiday weekend in the UK as well. Speak to you soon.